What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Today's video. Today's video has to do with Lucky from Hood Stocks. So, last week sometime, there was a fire in the building where he recorded his podcast, right? And nobody really knows what happened. Apparently there's people that hang around the building who are homeless, who may have an addiction, and that may or may not have contributed to the fire. The fire devastated the building to where Hoodstocks can no longer use his office to record and go live from. And he was emotional the other day when he first talked about it. He was emotional, rightly so. He's poured a lot of time and effort into creating his brand, into getting that office, that building, into buying the equipment necessary to be able to host guests and put out a quality product. However, in this downtime for him, in this time of heartache, there are channels that have come out and clearly are trying to assassinate this man's character, celebrate this tragedy. And look, I don't know him. I've never had a discussion with him, never had a conversation with him. But what I'm seeing happen, it's pretty foul. If you feel like you're better than somebody else at this content creation stuff, then you beat them like this. Let the people decide. But instead, what I'm seeing is, I'm seeing people call this individual a racist when he made a comment in poor taste. When he did so, most of us said that. Did he have ill intent? Did he have hatred in his heart when he made the comment? I do not believe so. I believe he thought he was being funny. And people were offended by it, and I completely get it. But he's never exhibited any behavior. He has no pattern to where I could say that dude's a racist. And what I see happening, I think, is going to be, it's gonna result in something other than what these platforms want. Imagine this. You have people from a different ethnicity, a different community, basically trying to tell the Raza, hey, this is a bad guy, don't like him. Instead, like this other content creator that's Raza. That's going to galvanize the community to say, first of all, we know the dude's not racist. But second of all, now just for that, that's what happens. I don't want to say any of these other content creators' names. I will say this, though. I think that all the videos that I saw, for the most part, Damian Porter was the most fair. Now, he made a comment at the end that I know won't sit well with a lot of Raza. And it's a line that a lot of people outside of our community like to spew, that we're trying to assimilate and we're trying to be accepted by whites. And it's a trip because Everyone knows how prideful Raza is. How proud to be what they are. And then for that line to be thrown out there. But like I said, Damien did a good video. Compared to all the other ones I saw, he said this isn't something you celebrate. Now he questioned, and I read his comment section. There were people in his comment section that were questioning Lucky from Hoodstock's invoking God when he was speaking about the incident. And anybody that knows the Bible knows you're acting like one of the Pharisees. The people that took Jesus out overlooked the things he was doing, too wrapped up in what they believed about him. Lucky's not Jesus. But anybody that's a righteous Christian understands you got your own problems and you have your own personal relationship with God. You work on that and you don't worry about another Christian. You don't worry about another person that invokes God. Let God deal with that. People are saying he seems pretty okay with the situation. And people are trying to say he started the fire for the insurance money. We're in an era now where people will just say things without even thinking about them. I think most of us that are ex-convicts that have been through a lot of stuff in our lives, we understand when something happens, you give it a minute and then you move on because you can't change it. If Lucky from Hoodstocks was to break down and cry on camera, does that make the building repair itself? Does that make all of his equipment repair itself? It doesn't, right? So I'm sure when he looks at his wife and his children, he's motivated, but also a little heartbroken. Like, I got to provide for my people, my family. I got to provide for them. But he doesn't need to do that in front of us. He doesn't need to do that in front of a camera. He made a joke in bad taste. It backfired. It hurt him. Right? But when Charleston White was talking about doing very, very serious physical harm to children of my ethnicity, nobody cared. Nobody. If you actually go and look in the comments, there was a lot of support for that. There are other content creators that have said not only said extremely foul things, but also do an accent that they call themselves clowning us with that accent. There's no condemnation. And yet, this individual is being, it's all over the internet. Calling him the racist Mexican podcaster. And then you have one individual who has that as his title. I believe it's even in his thumbnail, right? And then he goes on to say, but he's not really Mexican because he has a lot of European blood. And I'm just like, every Mexican has European blood because we're the product of the conquest. You can look at some Raza and their last name is actually an Italian name. Some it's a Spanish name. Some it's and there's a lot of Raza with Irish blood. When you don't understand the conquest of our ancestors, then you'll speak in ignorance. You know, lately I've been trying to get people to not see everything from this lens of racial bias. Because when we do that, we do not better ourselves because we're too busy pointing at the other ones, worrying about what the other one's doing. The old conquer and divide. I try to be down the line fair on everything I do, man. But I have to say, even though I don't know this person, I felt like it was really chicken shit to pile onto him at this moment. If you don't like him, get more views in him. Get more subscribers than him. Put out better content than him. That's how you prove you're doing things in a bigger way, in a better way. I don't know. It's just my 2 cents, man. I felt like I wanted to put it out there. It's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Everybody, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them, man. I'm out of here.